Hello, 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 and welcome back to another edition of Fan Talk, your favorite podcast by your favorite fan. That is, of course, me, Kyle Brinchley, in the house on this Wednesday. Too nice of weather out there. It is like mid-50s, and it's 2 weeks out from Christmas. Where's the snow? Where's the holly? Where's the mistletoe? I don't know. You tell me. It is not looking like December. It is not beginning to look a lot like Christmas. If anything, it's looking more like fall. Rogue One posters are up. The candle is burning. Welcome to Fan Talk. Fan Talk's a podcast that you can find anywhere you get your podcast. Fan Talk is a podcast by the fans for the fans. I'm your host, Kyle Brinchley. And you guessed it, we're talking college football playoffs. The field is set. We'll be looking at which teams made it and which teams didn't. Did the committee get it right? Which teams got snubbed? Which teams shouldn't be in? We'll talk about that. We'll make our Week 15 NFL picks. We'll get to that in just a second and so much more here on the Fan Talk podcast. Again, if you're new here, welcome. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe down below if you like what you hear. The college football playoff. We've been talking about this on the podcast for many, many weeks now. In the early days when it switched over from the AP poll to the college football playoff, we were looking at which teams could potentially solidify their spots, which teams had work to do to get in, which teams were firmly set. As the weeks went on, the drama got crazier. I have a lot of thoughts, and I know a lot of you guys have thoughts. Again, of course, always shared in the comments below. Twitter went absolutely bonkers. That's the understatement of the year. Now let me catch everyone up to speed. Again, 12 teams make the college football playoff. The top 4 ranked teams, regardless of conference position, get a first round bye. And then winners of the conference get an automatic bid, and then there's some at-large bids. There's limited spots, and there's a ton of teams trying to get in. The teams that did get in, I think 95% of it people are fine with. There was 5 teams fighting for 2 spots, essentially, kind of coming down to the end. And going into Championship Saturday, there was a lot on the line for those 5 teams. The teams that were currently projected to be in before Championship Saturday were Alabama, Virginia, who was playing in a conference championship game, Notre Dame, who was not playing in a conference championship game, but was projected to be the 10 seed. Teams that were on the outside looking in, BYU, they were playing on championship Saturday. Miami, they were not playing in a conference championship game, but they were on the outside looking in. Texas, Vanderbilt were the other teams also not playing in a conference championship, looking on the outside looking in, hoping that Alabama lost, hoping that BYU lost, hoping that some way, somehow, they could sneak into the college football playoff. So we get to the games, and what happens is probably what everyone expected to happen. BYU loses to Texas Tech for the second time. They drop to 11-2, and the committee already had them out at 11-1. They didn't even have them in the field making the playoff at 11-1, which last week I talked about absolutely bonkers. But the committee was already putting a condition on BYU. They were saying, BYU, your only way getting into the college football playoff is winning the conference. Even though you're 11-1, even though you have a really good strength of schedule, even though your only loss is to one of the best teams in the entire country, and now your second loss is to that same best team in the entire country. So BYU got gypped. I'll be honest. They got gypped. Then you have Alabama. Alabama, similar position. A lot of people thought you probably have to win to get in, because if you don't win your conference championship game, then you have 3 losses. And you put a 3-loss Alabama team in front of a 2-loss BYU, 2-loss Notre Dame, 2-loss Miami, 2-loss Vanderbilt, 3-loss Texas. So you get 5 teams over here who could very well take Alabama's spot if they lose. And mind you, Alabama has not been playing good football. If you watch the game on Saturday when they played against Georgia in the SEC Conference Championship, they got spanked. And that's a sentence you do not hear out of anyone's mouth ever. Alabama got spanked. Georgia put them in their place. Alabama did not look good against Auburn. The committee said they did. The committee is not watching the same game that I'm watching. Alabama lost at home to Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma's got a good defense. Their offense is hit and miss, but their defense is really good. That's a game Alabama dropped. Alabama lost to 5-7 Florida State to start the year, to an unranked team with a losing record, 5-7. So, I mean, the Georgia loss, I would say it's not a bad loss. It's kind of a medium loss because Georgia is a good team, but you lost by a lot. Oklahoma, that's a good loss. Oklahoma's a good team. Florida State, that's a bad loss. So you have a good loss, a medium loss, and a bad loss. Now, I want to be careful here because the committee was really looking into losses and being like, oh, these are good losses, these are bad losses. But really, that's not, in my opinion, what they should be looking at, the quality of losses. You lose, you lose. I don't care if you've lost to the number one team in the country. This was Texas's argument. Oh, we shouldn't have scheduled Ohio State because we would have been in at 11-2 if we didn't lose to Ohio State. I don't care if the loss is to Ohio State or if it's to Florida State. If you have multiple losses, and in the 12-team format, usually 2 or 3 losses really put you on the hot seat. If you have multiple losses and there's other teams who also have multiple losses or maybe have less losses than you, I don't care if you lost to Ohio State. I don't care if you lost to Georgia in the conference championship. I don't know how I feel about a 3-loss team getting into the college football playoff when there's other teams with 2 losses, when there's other teams with 1 loss, as BYU had 1 loss before going into that game, behind you. Now, of course, strength of schedule, strength of victory, right? There's all that to take into consideration. Head to head, it's a very hard process. And again, I will say this for the last time, it's not easy doing this job, putting teams into the playoff field. So I'm not going to bag the committee 100%, but I will be critical. And I think criticism is good. And I think they're going to have to figure out how to, manufacture and perfect this moving forward. But there was just a lot of controversy because as I was saying, Alabama did lose. They went to 9-3. BYU lost. They go to 11-2. Virginia loses, so they're out. So there's chaos there. They got to put in another Group 5 conference champion, which ended up being James Madison, which congratulations, James Madison. They earned it. Election Sunday came. I think 95% got it right. Indiana, they won the Big Ten. They're number 1. They're undefeated. They're the best. Ohio State, number 2. Very good team. Probably still the favorites to win it all, 12-1. They get the 2nd seed. Georgia wins the SEC. They get the 3rd seed. 4th seed is Texas Tech, who wins the Big 12. Oregon, phenomenal, only 1 loss all year, and that's to the number 1 team in the country, so they're 5. Ole Miss and A&M out of the SEC, both have only had 1 loss. Oklahoma, 10-2, 2 losses, but really good wins on the road against Alabama. Took out Missouri, took out Tennessee on the road, took out a Michigan team. So those 8 teams, I think, were pretty solidified. Now, last week I argued Oklahoma could have been lower, and BYU could have been above them, but of course, with BYU losing and dropping to 2, I think Oklahoma now should be in front of them, as they are. Those 8 teams were pretty much solidified, to be honest. And there were 4 spots up for grabs. James Madison took 1 spot. Tulane took another spot. So then there was 2 spots with these 5-6 teams fighting for them. You would think Alabama's lost. They've dropped to 10-3. Miami didn't play. They're 10-2. Notre Dame was currently in. What was going to happen? Was Notre Dame going to stay in? Was Miami going to hop in too? This is where it gets hairy. Because Alabama gets in as the 9 seed. They were ranked number 9 before they lost, and they stayed. They didn't even move. They get blown out, and they don't even move. Whereas Notre Dame was in at 10. They think they're in, right? They're looking at the college football playoff rankings, and they think they're in. They don't lose. They don't win. They don't do anything, and then they get bumped out at the last second in the 11th hour by Miami, who does have the head-to-head. Which, I mean, I argued, I do believe Miami should have been ahead of Notre Dame this entire season. So why did the committee leave Notre Dame in front all the way until the 11th hour and then bump them out at the end? I think that's totally unfair. And Notre Dame opting out of a bowl game, that's up to them. I'm not going to justify it. But, I mean, I sort of get it, right? I sort of get the frustration. Because they were in, and they didn't lose, they didn't win, they didn't do anything to move that position. The committee just said, okay, we're going to flip you at the very last second. So there's some interesting points there with the weekly college football playoff rankings release. I know a lot of people have been criticizing that. It kind of screwed Notre Dame in this in this scenario this year. So Notre Dame gets bumped out. Miami gets in. Now the question is BYU or Miami? I honestly think BYU could have easily been the 10 seed. This is what I would have liked to see. So 1 through 8 looks fine. Number 9, I would have put BYU. Put BYU in at number 9. And then number 10, put Miami. Or you can flip-flop them. Miami 9, BYU 10. But I think BYU and Miami were the two teams that should have been in over Alabama and then over Notre Dame. So BYU gets screwed. Notre Dame gets screwed. Alabama slips in with 3 losses. Absolutely wild. Miami slips in at 10-2. Crazy stuff. A lot to talk about here. Comment down below what you guys think. The college football playoff set. So we're past criticizing it. Nothing can change now. This is the field. James Madison got the 12 seed. They will play number 5, Oregon. Oklahoma is at home hosting Alabama. If you remember earlier this year, Oklahoma went into Tuscaloosa and beat the Crimson Tide on the road. That's absolutely crazy. Oklahoma also beat them last year. Oklahoma owns Alabama. I'm really excited for this game. Tulane and Ole Miss, Miami, Texas A&M, and then of course the winners of those games get the 4 bye teams. Did the committee get it right? Let me know your thoughts down below. Again, if I could change anything, I would put BYU 9, Miami 10. Or I'd flip-flop them. But I would have Miami and BYU in because I think BYU's 2 losses. Their only loss all season was to Texas Tech. And then their second loss was to Texas Tech in the conference championship, which a lot of people have argued you shouldn't be penalized for losing in the conference championship. So if that's true, why did BYU get penalized and Alabama did not? Alabama got blown out of the water. They have 3 losses. So I think they need to figure out what they're going to do about that moving forward. Are they actually going to live by that, or are they just going to pick and choose when that rule applies? I think with this committee, you can't pick and choose. I think you have to establish guidelines, rules, and you have to live by them. I don't care if you think theoretically that an Alabama team would be more interesting to watch than a BYU team. This BYU team was good. This BYU team only lost to Texas Tech, who was having a phenomenal year. This Alabama team, they lost to a 5-7 Florida State team. So kick Alabama out, put BYU at either 9 or 10. Miami, I'm putting Miami in just because they have the head-to-head over Notre Dame. I want it to feel good. I want it to sleep well at night. If Notre Dame got in with the same exact record as Miami, but not with the head-to-head. So I would have put BYU 9, Miami 10. The rest of the field is good with me. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I'm super excited for the college football playoff. Bowl season starts this Saturday, and then the college football playoff starts Friday, December 19th and December 20th. That is the first round of the college football playoffs. I'm super excited to see who will win. I'm calling it now. I think Ohio State's heavily favored. I think Ohio State has a pretty reasonable path, although Georgia might knock them out. Honestly, being in the upper end of the bracket is quite advantageous. Watch out for an Oregon team, watch out for a Texas Tech team, and of course, watch out for Indiana. I think I'm leaning towards Ohio State winning the college football playoff this year. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's shift our focus to the NFL for just a brief moment. NFL Week 15. Crazy things happening this week in the NFL. We're going to start with Thursday Night Football. An NFC South matchup. The 4-9 Atlanta Falcons visit the 7-6 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, this is very interesting because this has been the Buccaneers division for the last couple years. Falcons, they're out. They're statistically out of the playoffs, but they want to spoil the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' playoff hopes. Buccaneers are at home. They need a win because they're currently tied with the Carolina Panthers, and if the Carolina Panthers dethrone the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year, things will not be good down in Tampa. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this one to win. I think Baker's had a lot of struggles recently. That was a tough loss at home against the New Orleans Saints. I think they'll bounce back this week. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Browns at Bears. Now the Bears, 9-3 atop the NFC to start last week. A lot of people were pretty shocked by this. I still think they're a good football team. I don't know if they have the ability to go far in the postseason if they do end up making the postseason. These last few weeks will be very crucial for Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and that entire Bears team. They're inviting Shadur Sanders and the Browns into Chicago. I'm going to go with the Bears in this one. The Browns will be the Browns. They lost to the Titans at home in absolute disgusting fashion. I'm going to go with the Bears. Ravens and Bengals. You're probably saying, hey, Kyle, we just saw this matchup on Thanksgiving. You're right. Joe Burrow came back and absolutely cooked. Cooked last week, too. Honestly, fantastic game. Game of the week. Bengals and Bills, in my opinion, up there in snowy Buffalo. But Josh Allen got the last laugh. I'm going to go with the Bengals in this one to win. They are still in the playoff mix because the Steelers are 7-6. The Ravens are 6-7. So if the Bengals can win out somehow and get some help, their season's not over. But give me the Bengals in this one. Chargers at Chiefs. Chargers coming off a Monday Night Football win in probably one of the most sloppy games I've ever watched. 6 turnovers in that game. Justin Herbert does not want to talk to Laura Rutledge and do his due diligence and live the life of an athlete. He doesn't want to do the post-game interview. I don't know how I feel about that, but I don't think that will alter the product on the field. They're going to go visit Kansas City Chiefs, who are not looking good at all. Kansas City at home. I don't see Kansas City losing back-to-back games at home. I really don't. As poor as they've played this year, as washed as Travis Kelce is, as frustrating as it has been for Kansas City, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, I do think they win this game. They have so much to play for. They're playing for their lives at this point. 6-7, you got to win your last 4 to just get in. So give me the Chiefs in this one to win at home. Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots. Now this has potential to be a game of the week. The Bills are a juggernaut. They are good. They've had some bad losses, but they are good. Patriots looking fantastic. They're fighting for the top spot in the AFC, 11-2. They're at home, Foxborough. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills in this one to come into Foxborough and to teach the Patriots, remind the Patriots who is the king of the AFC East. It's been the Bills for the last whoever long since Josh Allen's come to town. They're going to remind the Patriots that Josh Allen is the king of the AFC East. Give me the Bills in this one. Commanders and Giants, toilet bowl of the week. Give me the Giants in this one. The Commanders just got shut out by the Minnesota Vikings, which the Vikings got shut out the week before. So the fact that a team that just got shut out shuts you out, that's pretty embarrassing. Jaden Daniels hurt again. Give me the Giants in this one. Raiders and Eagles. Give me the Eagles to bounce back after a tough Monday night football loss. Crazy. Jalen Hurts becomes the first player in NFL history to turn the ball over 2 times in the exact same play. He threw an interception. The guy who picked it off was a defensive lineman, so he doesn't know how to hold the ball. Ball just falls out of his hands. Jalen Hurts picks it up. Jalen Hurts fumbles again, recovered by the Chargers. Absolutely bonkers play. Go look it up on YouTube. But I like the Eagles in this one to slaughter the lowly Raiders. Jets and Jaguars. I don't know why, but they seem to play every single year. Give me the Jaguars in this one. Jaguars are 9-4, and with a win, they will be 10-4. They're looking pretty good. Give me the Jags. Cardinals and Texans. Give me the Texans in this one. Now, the Texans may be the hottest team in the AFC. They just took out the Chiefs in Kansas City. They're trying to chase the Jaguars for the AFC South title. And with the Colts down, who we'll talk about in just a second, give me the Texans. Packers and Broncos. Now, this will be a fantastic matchup. The Packers look really good. The Broncos look really good, too. Both teams are in the top 5 best teams in the NFL, according to Jeff Saturday's A-list from ESPN. I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos at home. I think this is a huge game. Broncos' last 4 games will be absolutely so crucial, with the Chargers just 2 games behind and still having the Chiefs and Chargers on their schedule. But I'm going to go with the Broncos in this one. Should be a fantastic game. Can't wait. Lions and Rams. I'm going to go with the Rams in this one. The Lions have done good to win a couple games, get them back in the mix. But I think the Rams are just cooking so well. They're just such a good team. I just don't know who's going to stop them in the NFC. Maybe the Packers, maybe the Lions, if the Lions can put together a complete game and their defense can figure it out. But I like the way Matthew Stafford's playing. I'm going to go with the Rams. Now the Panthers, 7-6. I talked about them earlier, fighting with Tampa Bay for the top of the NFC South. They're playing decent football right now. Some weeks they look good. Other weeks they look terrible, coming off a bye against the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to go with the Saints in this one. This might be my upset pick of the week. Panthers don't particularly play very well on home. The Saints just went to Tampa Bay and won. Why not keep it rolling? Go Saints. Titans and 49ers. I'm going to go with the 49ers in this one. Titans, congratulations. You won your second game of the year. Be careful, though. If you win another game, you're going to lose that first-round pick again. Colts and Seahawks. Now, we finally made it to the Colts. Daniel Jones tore his ACL, or tore his Achilles tendon. He's out for the year. Riley Leonard, their backup, has a sore knee, might not go. So the Indianapolis Colts, where do they turn for a quarterback? They turn to 44-year-old Philip Rivers and sign him to the practice squad. Philip Rivers last played in the NFL in 2020 with the Colts. He led them to the playoffs that year, and they were so close to beating the Buffalo Bills. He is back and probably going to start, honestly, if Riley Leonard can't go. That's going to be a very tough game in Seattle, the Legion of Boom. Wow, home of the 12th man. Give me the Seahawks in this one. Colts season down. Sunday Night Football is Vikings at Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys in this one. They are still alive. With the Eagles losing on Monday Night Football, they can still take that NFC East crown. They have to win out. They have to get some help. That might be their best chance of making the playoffs because the NFC is pretty loaded this year for the wild card. And then Monday Night Football, the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Give me the Steelers in this one. In Mike Tomlin, we trust. He's going to find a way to make this team have a winning record. The Dolphins have struggled all year. They're making a little run now, currently 6-7. Probably need to win out to make the AFC playoffs, but I like the Steelers in this one to win on Monday Night Football. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Week 15 picks for the NFL. Again, if you would like to join our podcast group, I will link it down below. All you got to do is pick the winner of each game. It's super fun. We have a group of the podcast. If you can beat me, then all the power to you. Currently, I am still in first place. All right, guys, that's all I got to say this week on Fan Talk. Again, let me know your thoughts on the college football playoff. Which teams got snubbed? Did they get it right? Which teams are you most excited to see? And who do you think is going to win it all? Comment that down below. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you guys so much for watching Fan Talk. I'll see you guys next week for another edition of Fan Talk.